China, meanwhile, was subjected to some pretty scathing criticism at the ongoing UNHRC session. Several Western nations, along with Uyghur activists, called out Chinese government for the human rights violations. Now, the European Union, Britain, Australia and Canada were amongst the nations that voiced serious concerns about Xinjiang and Tibet and also Hong Kong. They've called upon China to restore basic legal rights in Hong Kong and open up Xinjiang and Tibet for the world to scrutinize what the Chinese are actually up to. The Tibetan activist Thinley Chuki hit out at China over the human rights violations against the Tibetans. Listen in.
We cannot afford to be silent. Madam President, through this, we urge the UN to appoint a special rapporteur once again to inquire into the human rights violations being carried out by China against Tibetans, Uyghurs, Hong Kongers and Mongolians. The UN and the member states cannot look at the human rights violations by China in silos, and there needs to be a holistic view of these violations.
Meanwhile, Britain has pulled up China for violating the Sino-British Joint Declaration on Hong Kong. It has also demanded a complete independence of the former British colony's judiciary. Germany has voiced concerns with the existence of political re-education camps in the Xinjiang province and the widespread surveillance of the Uyghurs. Canada's ambassador Leslie Norton has voiced alarm over the separation of Uyghur children from their parents.
Also of grave concern, in Xinjiang, there is compelling evidence, including from the Chinese authorities' own documents, of systematic human rights violations. Culture and religion are severely restricted, and we have seen credible reports of forced labor and forced birth control. Staggeringly, up to 1.8 million people have been detained without trial.
We are particularly alarmed at human rights violations in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, including mass arbitrary detention and separation of children from their parents, repressive surveillance, as well as reports of forced labor and forced sterilization affecting Uyghurs and other minorities.
My family is held hostage in Chinese concentration camp. My brother is forced to assemble phone chargers as a slave labor. Your charger may be among them. 3 million Uyghurs being detained in concentration camps. Imagine the population of Berlin or Chicago locked up as slaves. The genocide, including sterilization and organ harvesting. The Chinese government banned our language and burned our books. Overall, CCCP has sought to eradicate Uyghur identity, the culture. There can be no doubt that their crimes meet the definition of genocide as laid out in the UN Genocide Convention.